At the beginning of the film, a book writer discovers an old and fascinating journal, a record of the extraordinary journey of a sailor named Robinson Crusoe. Captivated by its content, he immediately tells his scribe to turn the journal into a book, believing the story will capture the hearts of readers everywhere. The story begins with two men, Robinson Crusoe and Patrick, fighting over a woman named Mary. Robinson is a former British soldier who now lives in Scotland, and Mary is the woman he loves. However, her parents disapprove of their relationship because of Robinson's lower social status. Coming from a noble family, Mary is instead arranged to marry Patrick, another nobleman. But Mary refuses, declaring she will only marry Robinson. Enraged by her decision, Patrick challenges Robinson to a duel. At first, Robinson tries to avoid fighting, but Patrick keeps attacking, leaving him no choice but to defend himself. Robinson easily defeats Patrick, but spares his life, unwilling to harm his childhood friend. As Robinson turns to leave, Patrick suddenly attacks him from behind. Reacting on instinct, Robinson raises his sword and accidentally kills him. Shocked and filled with guilt, he never meant to take Patrick's life. Realizing the authorities will soon come after him, Robinson flees the scene and rushes to Mary. He knows he must leave Scotland before Patrick's powerful family seeks revenge. Mary promises to explain everything to her family and arranges for a trusted coachman to take Robinson to the port. Before leaving, Robinson vows to return within a year and marry her. But Mary warns that if he doesn't come back in time, she may be forced to marry another man, a thought that breaks his heart. Robinson sets sail aboard a British merchant ship, bound to explore distant islands untouched by humans. The ship carries a variety of goods, spices, silk, weapons, and even enslaved people taken from the islands they visit. Robinson quickly adapts to life at sea, and the ship's captain, impressed by his education and military background, asks him to document their voyage. One night, while sailing through the Pacific Ocean, a violent storm strikes. The waves grow monstrous, tossing the ship around like a toy. Amid the chaos, the vessel hits a reef and begins to sink. Everything fades into darkness. By morning, Robinson awakens, stranded on a remote island, the sole survivor of the disaster. He searches the shoreline desperately for other survivors, but the storm has claimed everyone, including the captain. Heartbroken, he buries the bodies of his crewmates and begins to worry how long he can survive alone, a day, a month, or even a year, without food, tools, or human companionship. The next day, he spots the wrecked ship not far from the coast. With renewed hope, Robinson swims out to it, searching for supplies. Inside, he hears a strange noise that startles him, but it turns out to be the captain's loyal dog, Skipper. Robinson is overjoyed to have a companion. He soon discovers that half of the ship remains above water, still holding valuable supplies, gunpowder, weapons, food, carpenter's tools, and everything he needs to survive until rescue arrives. With these provisions and Skipper by his side, Robinson finally feels a glimmer of relief. He begins exploring the island, hoping it might be connected to the mainland. But after walking for hours in every direction, he realizes he's completely isolated, surrounded by endless ocean. The truth hits him hard. He's truly alone. Despite his despair, Robinson refuses to give up. He spends his days hunting, fishing, and staying near the shore, always watching for passing ships. Months pass. One afternoon, while collecting clams, he spots a ship in the distance. Excited, he rushes to the beach, lighting a huge fire to signal for help. He screams until his voice gives out, but the ship sails away, never noticing him. Crushed but determined, Robinson decides to make the island his new home. Using tools from the wreck, he builds a small fortress, plants crops, and constructs a bridge made of tree roots. Over time, he becomes skilled at surviving in the wilderness. Even so, loneliness haunts him every night. A year passes since the shipwreck, and Robinson builds a monument to mark the day, a silent reminder of his lost promise. One afternoon, he discovers something terrifying, a human footprint on the sand next to a small boat. Realizing he's not alone, Robinson grabs his weapons and prepares to defend himself. Then, for the first time in 2 years, he hears human voices. He follows the sounds through the jungle and reaches a cave, where he sees a group of tribal natives, known as the Nurmer, performing a ritual. To his horror, it's a sacrifice ceremony, 3 captives tied up and brutally killed as offerings to their god. Unable to watch any longer, Robinson fires his gun, scaring the tribesmen away. One of the captives escapes and runs toward him. Robinson tries to calm the terrified man, telling him he means no harm. But the man grabs Robinson's gun and aims it at him, though he doesn't know how to use it. Robinson reassures him again, offering food and kindness. Moments later, the Nurmer tribesmen return to attack, but Robinson and the freed man fight them off and survive. After the battle, The man flees into the jungle, while Robinson retreats to his fortress. The next day, Robinson searches the island again, hoping to find the man and befriend him. But he accidentally falls into one of the man's traps. The stranger appears, shouting something Robinson can't understand. Thinking fast, Robinson cuts himself free, then demonstrates his gun's power by shooting a bat hanging from a tree. Seeing this, the man realizes Robinson is not his enemy. He shows his own hunting skills, and slowly, they begin to trust each other. Robinson invites him back to his fortress and decides to help civilize him, teaching him language, manners, and cooperation. He names the man Friday because it happens to be that day of the week. Robinson asks him to call him Master, but still keeps his guard up, fearing Friday might turn against him. That night, he makes Friday sleep outside, chained for safety until morning. The next morning, Robinson is startled when Friday suddenly enters the hut. But instead of attacking, Friday offers him food. This unexpected kindness makes Robinson feel guilty for treating him like a slave. Moved by his sincerity, he removes the shackles, realizing he can't force a free man to obey his rules. From that moment on, the two begin to build their own small civilization on the island. Friday proves surprisingly skilled at planting crops and understanding nature. Together, they live peacefully, without hatred, sharing everything they have. Robinson also starts teaching Friday English so they can communicate better. In just 6 months, Friday learns the language quickly, astonishing Robinson with his intelligence. For someone he once called a savage, Friday turns out to be sharp, curious, and eager to learn. Eventually, Robinson tries to teach Friday about God and Christianity. But it's not easy. Friday already has his own faith and worships a god he calls Pakia. When Robinson insists on converting him, their discussions soon turn into heated arguments. During one of these quarrels, Friday accidentally tears the Bible, angering Robinson, who lashes out and curses him. Deeply hurt by Robinson's disrespect, Friday decides to leave him. Once again, Robinson finds himself alone, and this time, it feels even lonelier. Weeks pass without either of them speaking, even though they live on the same island. During this silence, Robinson begins to reflect. He realizes he was wrong to force his beliefs on someone else, and remembers how similar intolerance caused so much conflict in his own world. Filled with guilt, he decides to make things right. One day, Robinson visits Friday and sincerely apologizes for his behavior, asking him to return. Friday forgives him with open arms, and their friendship is restored stronger than before. Later, Friday opens up about his past, how his people abandoned him as a sacrifice, and how the Nurmer tribe are the dominant force on his island. He warns Robinson that the Nurmer will likely return to the island to perform another ritual. They prepare in advance, hiding barrels of gunpowder inside the cave used for sacrifices. Weeks later, the sound of tribal horns confirms Friday's fear. The Nurmer have returned. Robinson and Friday light the fuse and blow up the cave, killing the invaders. But tragedy strikes. Skipper, Robinson's loyal dog, follows the gunpowder trail and dies in the explosion. Robinson is heartbroken. Skipper had been his only companion since the beginning of his isolation. Friday warns that the Nurmer will return again next month, this time with more warriors to avenge their fallen. Concerned, Robinson asks Friday about his homeland. Friday explains it's an island called New Britain, less than a month's sail away. The name shocks Robinson. It sounds eerily similar to his own homeland, Britain. Robinson insists they should build a boat and sail there for safety. But Friday refuses, explaining that he was banished by his tribe and would be killed if he ever returned. Their disagreement escalates until Robinson reveals his full name, Robinson Crusoe. Misunderstanding him, Friday believes Crusoe means master and becomes enraged, thinking he has been enslaved all this time. In anger, Friday attacks and chokes Robinson. They struggle fiercely until both step back, realizing how much pain their mistrust has caused. Heartbroken, they part ways for the second time. Days later, Robinson regrets his harsh words. Determined to survive, he begins building a new boat from a large tree, hoping to sail to New Britain and find other people. Just as the boat nears completion, Friday returns. He wants to make peace and end their conflict. Robinson is overjoyed, assuring Friday that he has always seen him as a friend, never a servant. Before they can set sail, dark clouds gather. A massive storm approaches. They secure their livestock and brace for impact, but the storm turns out to be the worst the island has ever seen. It destroys their fortress, kills most of their animals, and sweeps away the boat they worked so hard to build. Now trapped again, Robinson realizes they no longer have a way to escape. The full moon is near, meaning the Nurmer will soon return for revenge. He worries they will both die on the island, but Friday comforts him, saying, "All men die. What matters is how they die." Inspired by his courage, Robinson decides they will fight to the end as warriors. Together, They set traps and ready every weapon they have left, preparing for the inevitable battle. When the Nurmer finally arrive in great numbers, Robinson plays his bagpipes to lure them toward the fortress. Then, he and Friday launch a series of guerrilla attacks, ambushing them one by one. Once the Nurmer fall into their traps, Robinson detonates the explosives, killing most of them in one devastating blast. Thinking the battle is over, Robinson lets his guard down, but one surviving warrior shoots a poisoned arrow, striking him in the shoulder. He collapses. Friday kills the attacker and desperately tends to Robinson's wound. As his condition worsens, Robinson begs Friday to take him to his homeland. Friday refuses, saying his people would never accept them. But as Robinson's health deteriorates, Friday makes a brave decision. He takes a small boat left by the Nurmer and sails toward New Britain, hoping to find help. After weeks at sea, they finally reach the island. But Friday's fears come true. His tribe captures them immediately. Among them is a female healer, Friday's former wife, who treats Robinson's wound out of compassion. Once he recovers, however, the tribal chief demands a fight to the death between Robinson and Friday. If they refuse to fight, both will be executed. With no choice, the two friends face each other in the arena, torn between loyalty and survival. Robinson gains the upper hand but refuses to kill Friday. Instead, he drops his weapon and tells him to strike, choosing to die rather than harm his friend. But Friday can't do it. Unable to kill the man who saved and befriended him, he turns the weapon on himself. Before he can act, a sudden gunshot rings out. A bullet pierces Friday's chest. It's a group of European colonists who have arrived to capture and enslave the tribe. Friday dies instantly in Robinson's arms. Overwhelmed with grief, Robinson realizes the cruel irony of his life. He left home after killing a friend, and now he's returning home because of another. After 6 long years stranded on the island, Robinson Crusoe finally returns to Scotland. To his surprise, Mary never married anyone else. She had faithfully waited for his return. They reunite, marry, and live happily together. Yet deep inside, Robinson never forgets his loyal companion Friday, the man who taught him what friendship, freedom, and humanity truly mean. So that's it. Hope you enjoy the story. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more videos.